Hello delegators, welcome to another live stream with TitanNode, the #1 place to delegate your stake. Today we're going to be talking about starting up a Livepeer pool. A lot of questions have been asked lately because we have so many new orchestrators coming into the Livepeer community. People signing up for the first time are hearing about these pools and they want to learn for themselves how they can also start up a pool. So that is the topic of this live stream. It's all about Livepeer pools and a little explanation of how they work. And then also I'm going to give you a small guide on how to set up your own and maybe some ideas on how to improve your orchestrator and get that global and scalable presence. So if you're new to the live stream, please thank you for joining and hit that subscribe, hit the like button, and please comment in the comment section. I will get around to all of your questions. So if you have any, please throw them in the comment section and I will be able to answer them live right now. But as always, you can hop into Discord and ask questions as well. But I love doing these kind of videos. So the first topic we're going to be talking about when it comes to pools is running a pool right for you. So I'm going to answer this by minimizing my screen here and just doing some dashboard stuff. So the real question is running a pool right for you? Now, the way pools work in Livepeer is you have this notion that you can pool together GPUs around the globe into one orchestrator address and share the transcoding jobs, which is video mining, to all these different orchestrators, right? So you have, let's say, your orchestrator right in the middle, and you get work from a broadcaster. So there's a B here. The work gets sent in, and from this orchestrator, you can have, this is an O, you can have this T, a transcoder that does the work, right? And then sends it back to the orchestrator, which then sends it back to the broadcaster, right? So you have a remote transcoder off your orchestrator. Now, if you set it up so that you want to have a personal pool, if you will, or multiple, if you want scalability, what you want to do is add multiple transcoders onto this one orchestrator, right? So you have this idea that you have orchestrator that gets the work, and then the broadcaster sends the stream. Maybe we won't mess around with colors just yet. The broadcaster sends the stream to the orchestrator. It heads off to one of its transcoders, gets sent back. And so the question is, how do you add all these transcoders onto your orchestrator? And how is that scalable? So what the nice thing is, let's say that this is in North America. So we'll put NA. You can also set this up so that if there's a broadcaster, let's say that broadcaster is in Europe, that broadcaster could then also go to an orchestrator that you have set up with multiple T's, right? Multiple transcoders. And these transcoders are in Europe. So we can say that this is in the EU, right? And in the EU, you can have all these different transcoders set up as well. So this is the idea of pooling resources, and you can have other people. This is a random individual, maybe you met them on the internet, and they connect to your orchestrator. So the way it works is, I guess there's two different kinds of pools, right? So there's a public pool and a private pool. We're going to quickly talk about public pools, and then we'll get into private pools, because that's what TitanNode is. TitanNode is a private pool, and they operate quite differently. The concept is roughly the same, and I will give you some experience that TitanNode has had, but I want to quickly go over public pools because I think they're the more interesting part of this whole situation. So LivePool is currently the only public pool when it comes to Livepeer. Nico runs the LivePool software. He's currently building it out, and it's a pretty sleek setup. What you can do is you can go in here, you can download. He's created obviously a nice flow process for people that come to the website to download the orchestrator, the transcoder software which he's created, and then it automatically connects directly to the orchestrator nearest to where it's located, right? The problem with Livepool right now is that it's not public. The software that Nico is currently building, he's planning to release it so that it is public, and that we could all download the software, run it, and then have it publicly published. Unfortunately, right now, Livepool is still under development, and they're still doing a lot of architectural changes, and it's not live yet. So we don't have the ability to use Livepool, the software behind it. We will in the future, but which would give us this like great scalability. But that is going to be for a later date. Right now, we have this concept of private pools. Now, the nice thing about private pools is you can do it right now. You can set it up however you want. The only downside is that you have to manage it privately. So everyone that you are bringing onto your pool, you should probably know them in some fashion or trust them somehow, or, you know, have the ability to kick them out, or, you know, it's somebody that you should probably trust. Pools also work, private pools also work in the sense that you can just have databases around the world, data centers with your GPUs in it, and they're connected as a private pool. So the way you would do this, so this is like the public pool setup, right? If we go ahead and erase this, where is the erase button here? I'm sure I can just refresh the page. Okay, the way our private pool works with Titan Node is you have a broadcaster. It sends a stream to this orchestrator. But what we do is, instead of having an orchestrator with multiple T's connected to it, we have an orchestrator / transcoder running on the same machine, okay? And so what that does is then it doesn't have to go off to another transcoder for someone to connect, okay? So it goes straight from the OT down and then back to the broadcaster. And this typically will, you know, give you a pretty good score, especially, say this is in North America, okay? Well, what'll happen is you could easily set up another O/T, okay, like this, and have the broadcaster go through what's called the Geo-locating DNS, and it will find this orchestrator, and this could also be in North America. And then if you have another one in Europe, O/T, you will have, and this is in the EU, you will have a broadcaster over here that will just connect it directly, but it's all going through this idea of geolocating DNS, okay? So the way the geolocating DNS works is you have a broadcaster, it goes into a DNS, and it does a bunch of weighted rules so that it will bounce you to the location of where you are. So North America, Europe, right, and let's say Asia. And what it'll do is you have weighted rules, and they all end up at this O/T setup, right? So rather than having like a pool, I guess there's two ways of doing it. You can have it so that the O is set up in the Netherlands, and then you can have everyone in Europe connecting their T to that O, or you can have the geolocating DNS go to each O/T, right? So the way we have it set up with Titan Node is this concept of geolocating DNS. So we have it set up so that all the transcoding work goes directly to the O/T and gets sent back to wherever it's located. I've written a guide on how to do that, and this is through Route 53 with Amazon. Okay, so I'll give you a little backdrop on how that works. If we head to Route 53, this is the console on the back end. You can see I have a bunch of rules here. I've been playing around with it a lot, but the EU rule, which is not actually just EU, but it is all of them. You can see here that the stream comes in from this start point, and it goes through this geolocating rule. And if it's in Europe, it heads to this endpoint, which is an IP address. And if it's anything else, which is default, you can see that if it's a default, that means it's a catch-all, right? So if it's not in Europe, it ends up at default. So this was going to be, for me, catching all of North America and Asia. Then it goes through a weighted rule, which splits it half and half, right? Now this is getting a little advanced, so maybe you should just start with the geolocating rule first. But it goes through the weighted rule, where then it, say you have one GPU at each of these endpoints, right? So one GPU here, one GPU here. Then it gets split up where half of it goes to this IP address and half of it goes to the other IP address, okay? And the point of this is to keep, then you can just scale this up, right? Then you can just keep adding more weighted rules, right? If you edit this new policy, you can just go another weighted rule and say this has 2 GPUs. And if you add another weighted rule, then it has like 5 GPUs, right? You can connect this to an endpoint and a random IP address of wherever it is, right? So again, like this. And the way that looks is then, as this comes in, it gets weighted between these, but then you can also add new geographical locations, right? You can do, so the big 3 are going to be Asia, Europe, North America, but then you can also divide it into, like states. Like, so if you're in America, you could do New York as one, right? So New York, and then you could do Illinois for another one, and then California for another one. And so then what you have is geolocating rules within just the continental United States, and you can have all North America, New York work go to that data center, all Chicago going to that data center, and all of California going to that data center. So they're really fast, right? And then what you do is when you spin up the orchestrator node, you do it in each of these locations, and you would set it up so that they point to this one default address. So they're all receiving work and it's coming in, right? So that is the other way of doing it. And if you go to this, like what'smydns.net, we can search the domain name of the address where the work gets split up, and you'll see that based on the location of things, right? So if you're in China, you get one IP address. If you're in Canada, you might get another IP. So, you get different IP addresses, and every time you click it, the weighted rule will actually adjust it again, right? So it nicely divides it up. Every time a stream comes in, it's going to split it up and enter those different orchestrators. And so the idea behind it is that you have people joining your pool that have machines that already have the GPUs in them, and then you just remote access into them, launch your own node, and then point the DNS to it, right? So you can see here under the Grafana for Titan node, we can check out the different locations. So we can go Orchestrator overview for Canada. You can see that we have a bunch of sessions happening, a bunch of streams coming in, and then we have right here the score, which is really nice. By the way, if this one's running about average of 15. We did win a ticket recently, so it's getting 5 streams here into the Canadian one. And then if we look at the USA one, where is it? Orchestrator Overview USA. It's got 4 streams. So this is a whole different machine in a whole different location. And all that's happening is every stream that comes in gets divided up between the two, right? And this is somebody else's machine, right? And so the big question I get a lot of times is, how do you divide up the payments that come in, right? So for instance, the Canada one just got a payment. We can check it out here. Livepeer payments overview. It has a winning ticket, right? Just got paid out this morning, I believe. This is now how we track how much payment that node has gotten, right? So the USA node hasn't got any payments lately. The Canadian one did. So whoever is in the pool from Canada will then get a portion of the ETH that they got paid out. And because they also have access to this dashboard, they can see when they're getting paid out and that it's fair, right? So that's one. So it's not like a micro payment. You don't pay people for the segments they do and try and divvy it up. I just simply pay them relative to the tickets they get. So they take the risk on also of how frequently or infrequently they might win a ticket, right? That, you know, and technically it is fair, but some people might not like to wait. So you just have to make sure you ensure that they understand that they don't get paid until they get a winning ticket. And then you can divide up how much they get of that winning ticket when they receive it, right? So I'll quickly go into some Q&A. I wonder if any questions here on the back end. No, okay. So I see that we have a winning ticket. This Canada, the way we do it with TitanNode is 50-50. That might change into the future. So like half this ticket will go to the orchestrator and half will go to the person operating the node, or the pool person, right? And then from here you can also go to the you can check out all your what do they call it, test streams here in this dashboard, as well as the Livepeer Explorer, right? So if you go to the Explorer and you see your DNS is working well, I know Interpreter does it. Interpreter followed this guide and did it for himself. So you can see that Interpreter, if we go to Chicago, maybe he's not near Chicago, but he gets a 9.3, right? With a 100% success rate. But then if we head over to Europe, say Frankfurt, Interpreter, maybe Interpreter is in, yeah, there he is, 9.19 again. So he has this ability to have really high scores in both locations, right? Singapore, and then you can see that he doesn't have one over in Singapore because he's less than real time, right? So that's how he obtains the #1 spot. He does this geolocating rule, and the easiest way to do it is just to have other people join your pool and do that. So that is basically how to run a pool at this time. Now, when Livepool puts out their software that allows us all to download it and use it, then that will be how we do that. So if you are looking at setting up a pool, go ahead and get people that you know, that you like, or that you can trust. Follow the guide on the Livepeer forum. It's called Orchestrator Geo-locating DNS with Route 53. Follow this, right? And all they do is give you remote access into their machine, and you set it up yourself. If you spend time teaching people how to set up their orchestrator node and connect to your orchestrator, it's just as much work as if they were to go start up their own node in the first place, right? So if they're that inclined, they'll probably just launch a node of their own, which is great, by the way. But people that want to join a pool typically want to keep it pretty hands-off. So until the Livepool software comes out where it's a one-click launch, then you're going to have to set this up. The last way of setting this up is to run VPS. Okay, so the last way is you have a broadcaster and you have your orchestrator, let's say in the 3 locations, North America, Asia, Europe, and these are all done through VPSs. VPS, okay? And what happens is the broadcasters use the geolocating DNS, that's a B, DNS. It geolocates to the 3 locations, right? And then, but it goes just to a VPS of a server you're renting in that area. And then what you do is you hand out the T, right? You could get people to connect the Ts, right? Which is these people, all you do is give them the node that uses the orc secret. So if you're not familiar with the orc secret, when you launch your node, you have the ability of running it as an orchestrator only, right? So if you run it as an orchestrator only, you're going to use something like, you'll run your Livepeer .exe file, and then you will do the -orchestrator, right? But you won't put transcoder, right? So we won't put the transcoder, but instead we'll put orc secret, okay? And you'll put in something there like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then when you give the node to the person that wants to connect, they will also run the .exe file, and they will put in transcoder only, like this, and they will put in I think it's secret again, or is it orc pass? You know what? I'd have to look it up now. Orc secret or password. Just use the help button to tell you which one it is. It'll also prompt this. But then what you can do is you can just give them that node file, and then they can connect directly to you. The downside of this is you don't know how much of the work is going to each node. It's just random, okay? So you don't know how much work this person's doing, or this person's doing, or this person's doing. Livepool does that unless you find a way to track it through the monitor process. It's pretty tough to do that. And then on top of that, this orchestrator is the thing that's winning the ticket. So this wins the ticket, right? So then how do you determine of these transcoders how much they get in relative to the ticket, right? So if the ticket wins $1,000, how do you distribute that? Is it based on the amount of sessions they have, right? So if they can do 10 sessions, they can do 10 sessions, and they can do 20 sessions as, say, a max. Does it just get distributed equally among their max session limit? Do you track how many segments they're actually transcoding in real time and pay them micropayments? These are all custom jobs that are just not available yet to the public. The way Livepool does it is it tracks the amount of segments you actually transcode, accumulates them relative to the amount of payments you get, and then once you get 50 times the gas price of the transaction for the accumulated ETH you've been earning, you get actually paid out, right? Hence why people in Livepool don't get paid out very often, because gas is just ridiculously expensive. So we haven't got that far yet. And the problem with this is you're going through this orchestrator to transcoder and back, and it might work. Like it probably will work just fine, but you probably get more speed by doing an O/T, more performance. So it depends whether you're performance heavy or not. So, but anyway, that kind of concludes the end of this video. There's lots of different ways to do pools. It's still up in the air on how you can optimize it, but the way we do it is O/Ts with DNS. So I got a couple questions here. We'll go through them. Bronze Key, hi there. I was having issue with my 1070, and I have a discussion going on currently in the transcoding channel on Discord. I'm trying to set up for transcoding, but some segments are dropping. Okay. Some segments are dropping. I'll have to understand a little bit more of what you mean by segments dropping. If we go to the transcoding channel, I can maybe see if I can find your, keep getting this error. I don't know if this is yours. So the real question is, you're saying that the transcoding segments are dropping. You're probably seeing the test streams come in, if that's what I hear what you're saying. So I'm going to quickly bring this up again. If we go to, this is what I think is happening, if I understand what you're saying. If we go to the orchestrator overview, what you're saying is that, let's pick USA because it's probably similar to what you're looking at. What you're saying is this is what's happening, right? So you have current sessions that say you have 6 sessions, and then it drops down to 2 and then to 0, for instance, right? If that's what you mean by it, they end. So Livepeer doesn't, I mean, it's all based on demand, right? So you won't get sessions just because you're on Livepeer. And these little ticks right here, these are often like test streams, right? So test streams last 30 seconds, and they come in every 15 minutes to 2 hours, and you can see, like if we zoom into one of these, right? Let's zoom into it right here. These are about 30 seconds long, right? So from 10:30 to 11:30 seconds. That's a test stream, and then here's another test stream, right? So there's test streams every while, and that is maybe the actual. If you're not getting any sessions of real live streaming, all you're end up getting is just test streams coming in, right? So it could be test streams that you're getting. Otherwise. It depends how quickly they're falling off. So if you could specify exactly what you mean by that, I might be able to answer that for you. Ocean Beach Theatrical. I think consensus is you need a faster CPU. Your bottleneck there, more than 8 GB of RAM, would be good though. The 1070 is actually a very good transcoding GPU. It has one decoding chip and 2 encoding chips. It runs at about 1700 megahertz, and it can do 20 streams very quickly. In fact, the USA location we have, they only run 1070s. And if you look in the last 6 hours, I mean, their scores are pretty good, right? So pretty common profile is 360p, 480p, and 720p. It's getting about a score of 24. So anything above 10, in my opinion, is like super good, right? Once you hit 10, anything above that is kind of getting, like, it's just, it means you're transcoding the segments 10 times faster, right? So even varies, I believe, he says anything above a 5 is really good. But if you're above a 10, so this is transcoding a segment 24 times faster than what it's coming in at. So like it's just ridiculous. This 480p to 720p is going 13 times faster. So if a 2-second segment comes in, it's doing it in less than 200 milliseconds. So your score is going to be fine, and you're not going to be dropping it because of the GPU. That's for sure. So a 1070, you shouldn't be dropping relative to your actual GPU. Now, you could be dropping it because of other configuration problems. So that might be kind of specific to what you're looking for. Regarding pool, with separate transcoders, and they can drag down your score if they're too far away. Yes, that's right. If you have transcoders that are separate from your orchestrator, they can drag down your score. But if you are above 6.63, if you're above 6.63 on the total latency score, if you're above, you are transcoding technically in real time. Now you're just transcoding at real time. Like if you're sending a 2-second segment at 6.63, it's sending it back in 2 seconds, right? So even if we look at, where is it? Oh, I closed it already. But you can see that a lot of these people are transcoding in real time globally even. But if you pick like Chicago, for instance, all these people are transcoding in real time. So first page, all people are transcoding in real time. Second page, all people are transcoding in real time. Third page, all people are transcoding in real time. Fourth page, why is it? These people would be, but their success rate's really low, right? So the success rate is the chances of it actually sending back successfully. So right around here, this is where at 36, people are now transcoding below real time. And this is likely because of their internet connection, not because of the speed of the machine. Although the speed of the machine can be affected greatly. So yeah, let's keep that in mind. Less likely to actual win jobs. You're only less likely to win jobs if you are not sending back segments. So if you're transcoding in real time and you have 100% success rate, chances are you are going to be just fine when it comes to the amount of jobs you're going to get. And then the amount of jobs simply comes down to the amount of stake you have and luck, I guess, luck and performance. And it's orc secret on both T and O. Oh, thank you very much. Yes. I assume Ron is Ron. Oh, Bronze Key is Ron. Okay, yeah, cool. Awesome. Hey, thanks. I want to quickly thank Bronze Key. Thanks for joining in the chat. I believe that's Ron. Ocean Beach Theatrical, thanks for being here. I don't know if you're an orchestrator, but I appreciate you watching the live stream. And we also have Jim Van, who just joined. So quickly get to more of these questions. Test streams are pegging its CPU. Test streams are pegging his CPU. Test streams will go through all the way to the GPU. So it doesn't, test streams don't just stop, right? It's not the discovery process of the broadcaster, right? The test streams will go fully through, and it's the round time score. So by time it gets sent, transcoded, and sent back is the latency score. And then your success rate is just the amount of times you send back successful segments. Test streams come every once in an hour. Yeah, it's different for different people. It seems, I don't know, they kind of, and they're sporadic. They can sometimes 4 of them come in 1 hour and then none for like a while. So Jim Van, can you start an O/T with 16 GPUs from home, or do you need to rent a server? Great question. Of course you can. Yes, you can. I'm going to move me to this side just because you guys can see the questions as well. Yeah, if you have 16 GPUs, it kind of depends, I guess, on how these GPUs are connected. If they are connected into one motherboard, so like one of those B200 series mining rigs, then yeah, you definitely can. The only concern you'd have at that point is just your bandwidth, right? So notepad, let's do calculator. So if you did have 16 GPUs, the average GPU, let's just take an average of Transcoding Supreme real time, you can do probably about 16 streams per GPU times 16, right? Which gives you about 256 sessions, okay, max, okay? Now we have to assume that we need 6 megabits per second up and down per stream, right? So if we do that 256 times 6, which gives us, to max out your 16 GPUs, you're going to need a 1.5 gigabit connection fiber to be able to handle those 16 GPUs. You're going to need really fast internet, right? So then the question is, where can you get that fast internet? At my primary residence, I actually do have 1.5 gigabit up and down speed. So it is possible. You're right at that limit too. So you could definitely do 16 GPUs in one setup. But will you get enough work to maximize the full 16 GPUs? That is largely dependent on stake, and a lot of people and a lot of orchestrators have a hard time maxing out 2 GPUs currently, right? So even if you look at the Orchestrator for USA, I mean, we're in the last, let's say, 7 days, right? It gets up to about 24, drops down, maybe 24, averaging probably 8 to 10. I mean, that's enough for 1 GPU, right? There's 2 GPUs on this machine, but like it doesn't even get maxed out. So 16 is going to be just overkill, right? So I presume if you have 16 GPUs, then that means you are ETH mining. And so what I recommend for people to do is, if you are ETH mining, what you want to do is take one of those GPUs, take it offline from ETH mining, and put it onto transcoding. And then what'll happen is, if you get lots of work transcoding, you can slowly kind of move the GPUs over to transcoding, because there's probably going to be more profit margin in transcoding than mining, ETH mining. But then if you max out if 2 GPUs aren't enough to transcode, there's just not enough demand, then you could just go back, right? So yeah, people, like, I've had people come to me and say, I've got 100 GPUs, I want to put them all on Livepeer. The thing about Livepeer is it's not just an inflationary token that you're all working against, like ETH mining, right? The thing about transcoding is that you only have so many customers, right? And so you can see that the customer trend is going up, but like, there's 10,000 a week in fees right now. And it's not like the 10,000 gets divided amongst the more GPUs you have. Like, you just don't get issued the work if there's not enough work, right? If there's only 2.3 million minutes to transcode in a week, that's it. So like, you get, you might max out 1 GPU, maybe you might need 2, but like, your 16 GPUs are not going to be utilized until this gets up to like 20 million transcoded minutes, or 200 million transcoded minutes, right? So yeah, it's easy for people to get overzealous with how many GPUs they have coming into Livepeer. So yeah, just keep that in mind. Depending on your internet connection, likely won't get enough speed to saturate a single GPU. Yes, that's exactly. I can take fiber with 1 megabit per second if needed. Yes, fiber will probably get you to that 100 and, if you have a fiber internet divided by 6, it can get you 116 sessions, which divided by 16 per, probably about 10 GPUs with one fiber connection, right? But again, you're going to have a hard time filling up 10 GPUs worth of transcoding work unless there's more adoption with Livepeer in general, which will come, which comes to that elastic scalability with Livepeer in general. Yes, that'll work fine. Thanks for the tips. Yes, no worries, Jim Van. Appreciate you coming here. Great. So that is my take on transcoding in pools. I would check out the DNS. Every pool is going to end up using geo-locating DNS, like 100%, because you need to be scattered throughout the world. But you know, the way you set up the actual backend, whether it's like pools that have individual O/Ts where you remote into the machine and you control everything, or you get other people to connect and you somehow decide a payment structure with them, that is totally up to you. Livepool has this technology, but it is not live just yet. Okay, so I think that covered most of the things I wanted to talk about. Real quickly, I did want to talk about like the goals and the ideas around pooling. So maybe pooling isn't right for you. I want to just bring this up real quick. Pooling requires you to deal with other people, attract people that want to join your pool. You're probably going to have to babysit these kinds of people if it's a public pool. You're going to have to help them out. You're going to get lots of negative feedback if people don't feel they're being helped, if they're in a bad location. It's not like ETH mining where you can just turn it on and if it works, it works. Transcoding requires you to have technical knowledge of like how these networks work. So if you don't have technical knowledge or you're not interested in doing that type of work, the other thing to do is just to set up your own orchestrator and run it out of your own data centers or something, right? So like you could easily just rent a co-locating data center in 3 spots in the world, ship your GPUs to that location, they'll put it in for you, and you run everything internally, right? So you don't have to get random people to join your pool. You could just geolocate your own stuff, your own hardware in different locations, run it all internally, and probably have a much better score, and you collect all the profits, and it might just be a better way of doing things. So pooling is definitely just, it's not a major, it's not like you're going to get left behind if you're not running a pool. Pool is just another option for how you could grow your node and scale it, right? And comes with its own challenges. Pooling is really good if you don't have much resources to start out with. If you're just an individual, a tech person that wants to try things out, have a bit of fun, low overhead, pools would be a great idea. If you're like an institution or someone who's got a bit of a bag and they want to throw down on some hardware, start with 10 GPUs, put them around the world, and see how much they can make. That is an option as well. So pooling is not necessarily the best way to do it. It's just an option for people with some skills and want to try it out, right? So there we go. Okay, thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, please leave it in the comments. I always get back to people in the comments, or hop into Discord and ask some questions as well. Thank you for watching.